You think it's better out here? Is that what you're telling me? You think the snow is better? Listen, I am wearing a cook certified at 45 degrees below zero. Look at this hat. This is a very, very serious storm. Look up my shoulder here. You can see the temperature at 22 degrees. But this doesn't tell the whole story. We've been dealing all day long with high winds and snow just flying into everybody's faces. I want you to see what's going on over here on 6th Avenue. Take a look. Frank can come with me. We had a lot of traffic out here despite the fact that the Mayor de Blasio telling everybody, hey, don't drive cars today, but what's going on? Everybody and their mother is out here. Cars all over the place and they're sliding. By the way, de Blasio told folks that you'll probably never see the street out here because we don't think we can get it uncovered. So lots going on there, but I gotta tell you, what would be really great is if you were out here with me. What kind of world are we in when the business reporter is outside in the snowstorm and Shepard Smith is in the studio?
Life is unfair. 24 hours off the beach, Jerry. Got into the shopping system. The storm is actually about
I hope you're having fun. We can have fun out here, though.
We could.
I would do the jacket,
The
the
great-
hat.
The great folks at Rockefeller Center, though, they're very good about plowing our sidewalks. So the sidewalks aren't too bad.
They are, but I gotta tell you, the only bad thing about this snow, Chef, it's not like if I could make a snowball, I certainly would.
Yeah, it's
If I
light and
can't-
fluffy. Easy to shovel, at least. Not too bad on your back.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Jerry, this storm is actually 250 miles offshore. Were it any closer to the center of the thing, were it closer, we have feet of snow and hurricane force winds in New York City. And even with this distance, forecasters say the storm has brought wind gusts around 70 miles an hour in some areas. They call it a bomb cyclone. Scientifically, it's Bombogenesis. Technically, that means the pressure dropped 24 millibars in 24 hours. For us, it just means blinding and blowing snow.
That's a fake picture. Ball Earth.
Looks like a hurricane. It's outer bands roaring over the northeastern U.S. Forecasters say it could bring blizzard conditions in some areas.
Artificial clouds too high. It's fake.
Adam Fox is in the Extreme Weather Center. A walk to the subway this morning. If that wasn't blizzard conditions, I don't know what blizzard conditions.
Hey guys, this is the big snowstorm that was talked about on the news yesterday, coming up the east coast all the way from Florida. And I just did a video series on this freeze trend, this massive drop in temperatures across the U.S. and North America. Just breaking it down that basically everything is just artificial, man-made. I didn't finish uploading the entire series of videos, but yeah. But now I just want to talk about this storm here today, because I did that video series like a couple of days ago. So now, as you can see, it's just a whiteout, and it's not normal at all. It's very, very cold, but they said it was supposed to be a blizzard. You don't really get winds like that here. We didn't really get a blizzard here. Winds, just this artificial, super small, nano-looking snow. Snow used to be fluffy, thick, but here is either super small, like many particles of snow dropping, or it's either like heavy wet snow. So basically what they do is called chemical ice nucleation, or bacterial ice nucleation, and I explain more about that in the videos. that I'm talking about. But here they call this storm, excuse me, here they call this storm a bombogenesis, or a bomb cyclone. So let me just tell you what the quote-unquote elites are trying to say here. It's right in front of your face. Basically, it's a bomb terrorism, you know, weather terrorism. It's a bomb. It's a bomb on what? Creation, Genesis, creation. So they are trying to destroy creation for Satan's satanic agenda of taking over the throne of God. You know, Lucifer becoming like God. Man, excuse me, men becoming like God. You know, now men are manipulating the weather. We don't get normal weather anymore. And they are able to make it freeze at will with this chemical ice nucleation. You can look it up. But yeah, they call it bombogenesis, something like that. And basically what that's supposed to be is when they say it's when a warm air system collides with a colder air system, and it creates this massive cyclone type of temperature, low pressure temperature drop storm. And they're saying it's coming from the Gulf, and you know that warm air from the Gulf comes and meets with the northern colder system. But it's all lies. In short, they're telling you, for those who have more information about this, that they're doing what's called an endothermic reaction, where they put chemicals in the sky and the surrounding hot air, warmer air, sucks into the nucleus of whatever particles or compounds, chemical compounds they put in the sky, and it in turn transforms the nucleus of whatever atom or chemicals that's in there in the sky. It transforms it into a cold or an ice crystal type of nucleus. You can correct me if I'm mistaken about this, but and it's, you know, just chemical and ice nucleation, or bacterial ice nucleation, where, you know, they can use you know, they just add some type of bacteria to water and it instantly freezes. It's just all chemical reactions, basic science. And what's probably up here is silver iodide. They use that apparently to connect with the water molecules, whatever other things that they spray in the sky, to then take on the form of snow. I'm not exactly correct about how exactly they do it, but they use silver iodide, and I mean, who knows what's up there? It could be ammonium nitrate, whatever causes chemical reactions to create freezes. See, you don't have to have it be some type of, it doesn't need to be an air system or cold front or something coming from the north, or polar system, Arctic system coming. They use chemistry to create freezing, you know, results, or like ionizing. You know, they ionize the clouds with their frequency weapons. You know, basically, to them, it's all about electromagnetic radiation. It's not just microwave radiation creates heats things up. It's frequency. It transforms the ions of certain atoms or chemical compounds. So actually, microwaves can make it cooler. Science has already shown that they can cool atoms or cool ions. They use E. coli. Basically, they're just mad scientists. You know, they take the gene structures of certain things like bacteria, and they harness the the freezing, the cold DNA gene property of that bacteria, and then clone it. So they do everything in a lab, and try to make nature their lab. So I'm just trying to hurry up because my fingers are starting to freeze. And this is a subatomic freeze. It gets right to the bone, goes right through your windows, your doors. It's spiritual warfare. It's satanic knowledge. And so, yeah, they call that bombogenesis or something like that, terrorism. And they call it a bomb cyclone. Of course, they want to use cyclone because they're psyops. It's a psychological operation where, they are like, Satan, masters of deception. It's a psyop, trying to sway and manipulate the minds of the public and have them in fear. And then, another thing about or cyclone, you think of Cyclops, that character with the one eye. They're all about the all-seeing eye, and they just want to take over the world and destroy God's creation. And of course, cyclone, this is a cloned storm. It's cloning God's creation, splicing, manipulating God's creation like Satan, splicing the tree of the knowledge of good, splicing the tree of life of good, and turning it into the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, and they tell you all throughout the movies, with their characters, that man is Antichrist. Man plays God. Mr. Freeze from Batman, Jack Frost, it's a man. The Snow Miser, it's a man. Man is manipulating the weather. Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, a man. Not the almighty, omnipotent God. And so, they start to say it's just all about the low pressure from the cyclone. When low air pressure drops, it creates a cyclone. Or a cyclone actually draws itself to low air pressure. But, really, low air pressure is when the air molecules, they apparently, I guess, decrease. Everything that they do, they can affect the atomic level of with their ionization and their frequency weapons, and their basic science, chemistry. So they can cause, apparently, the air pressure to drop, just make less air molecules. When they ionize the clouds with their frequency weapons, the towers like Nexrad towers, it's not just HAARP, then they have these wet surface air coolers emitting more things in the atmosphere. You can just look these things up, but my video series explains it best. But when they ionize these clouds, they're just sending a negative charge, negative electron, like an atom. The ions are on the outer shell of the atom. They're electrons. So when the atom has, more electrons than protons, it's a negatively charged. Because electrons are negatively charged. It's a negatively charged atom called an ion. So with that, their frequency weapons ionize whatever chemicals or whatever is in the sky that they put up there, and they can turn it to, have freezing properties or whatever type of chemical change or combustion that they want it to, because they're changing the atom structure of a compound. If an atom is negatively charged, it attracts other atoms, and things change. So I'm not a scientist, I'm not a weatherman, but I know the truth, and the weathermen and the scientists are not telling the truth. And so this is basically what's happening, but God is in control. This is a strong delusion that is talked about in 2 Thessalonians, so that people will believe the lie and be judged. So, they talk about climate change. They're the ones doing it. And really they're in fear of, you know, God, because they're afraid of God, because God in the Bible talks about everything. The elements, even the elements, will be destroyed with fervent heat. And I think 2 Peter, and the heavens will pass away with a roar, a great noise, and everything will burn up and be dissolved, and the Lord will, you know, come down and judge. This world will be destroyed by fire. First it was water with Noah, and now by fire. And they want to try to, you know, create an illusion that, well, it's getting cooler, no more global warming, and this is a mini ice age, you know. So, and I'm just sitting here, you know, I was contemplating, well, I know I have to leave this place where I am, in a wicked household with evil, you know, perpetrators as relatives, demonic relatives, and I'm just, you know, freezed in. I can't, you know, I can't go anywhere now. And the bad thing is that I'm stuck out here, you know, I mean, I'm stuck in here with these same evil relatives, nowhere to go, having to deal with their attacks and harassments. But anyways, yeah, so guys, stay safe and trust in the Lord, you know, not on hoarding food and trying to be in fear with the, you know, with what the government and the news and everyone else is saying. Trust in the Lord. Your house is built upon a rock, the word of God. You won't be moved by any storms. You see, you know, people, they are storms themselves. They create the storms of life, you know, demonic people themselves. But, you know, people, they're in fear of these storms and stuff, and they do the opposite of God, you know, what God wants you to do. And people in general, wicked men, you know, they war against, you know, God's nature. You know, they want to fight the change of the earth, of nature, of its climate. And they don't think that it's natural. You're supposed to be with the change. You're a part of the earth. You're subject to the earth. It's not the other way around. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. And so instead of being in fear and trying to fight, you know, these weather events, whether it's man-made or not, people should just be trusting in God and His Word. Because it says that, you know, all throughout the Bible, God will destroy. His weapons are weather. He will destroy the wicked with a storm, a great whirlwind, a great tempest. But His people, He will be His refuge of His people. It's all throughout the Bible, so we have nothing to fear. And, you know, be safe, guys, and be in the Lord. And I love you all. Thanks for watching.